Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people and some of the country's biggest stars too. Now, with all eyes on sport this summer, it's time that we Brits got fit. And with all these upcoming sporting events and heroes, with all their achievements, released to mark World Health Day, the new research by Superdrug shows that 89% of Brits want to improve their health. Well, a lady who knows all about health, good and bad, is Dr Pixie from Channel 4's Embarrassing Bodies, and she joins us now. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely to talk to you. I'm fascinated by this. It does seem to me, yesterday, sat at St Pancras train station waiting for about 20 minutes, that there's an awful lot of fatties about. Now, was this the case 30 years ago, or is it getting worse?
Oh, no, it's gotten much worse. I mean, Britain is the fat man of Europe now. That's a well-known fact. Obesity is a growing problem, excuse the pun, but in the last 30 years, it's tripled. And probably by 2050, they reckon 1 in 2 of the UK population are potentially going to be obese. So it's a serious public health problem.
I always hear people saying, I blame America because they brought over McDonald's, but you can't really blame anybody. I think you have to look at yourself. I was 5 stone heavier 5 years ago, and it's been a relentless fight to keep it off. But I just looked in the mirror one day and thought, not only are you ugly, but you're actually unfit and unwell. And I decided there and then that I had to make change. Why is it some of us can do that and other people say, oh, it's easy for you? I hear that all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Some people find it very, very difficult. And you know, some people start and they fail. And I think if you don't have a plan, that's the big thing. It's so difficult to give up smoking or to embark on an exercise regime or to go on a diet if you don't have a plan and you don't have the support. And this new initiative by Superdrug, which is called Team Me, I guess it's a way of helping the nation improve their health, because we've got the Olympics coming up, so we're all looking at the athletes and their goals and we're being inspired by them. We're trying to harness that and say to people, look, forget about Team GB, support them by all means, but think about Team Me. It's a health and well-being revolution, I guess, and it's going to take place across the UK, trying to help and inspire those people who want to make a positive change and to take action, and to help them do that, because it is so hard to do it on your own. You know, if you want to give up a cigarette, lose weight, or get your blood pressure under control, you do need help, and that help actually isn't necessarily going to your GP. Often you can do that yourself. You can get information online, and you can do that with the support of your high street pharmacy. So it's not all about banging on the doctor's door and saying, what can you do for me?
This bid to help people is going to be #TeamMe. It's going across the country and they're going to be helping. I think one of the biggest problems is the contradictions. I'm not joking. I had a friend who is morbidly obese who joined one of these clubs. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. And he sat in front of me and ate 4 meringues. And he said, oh, well, it's only 3 points, so I can have them. And I looked at him and thought, you've eaten the equivalent of a bag of sugar, which would take you 17 days to run off if you did a mile every day. It seems like we don't help with these points and plans. We need it simplifying. And for me, what worked was make it yourself, try and avoid the carbs, and cut down, shut the fridge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It only eat sitting at the table, and you know, don't ask for seconds. It's that question, isn't it, of people saying, would you like more, when actually you should just be saying, are you still hungry? Because we'd all like more. Yeah. We're not necessarily still hungry, are we?
I'm always hungry. It's depressing. I can eat a whole meal and still be hungry, but that's the reality, I think, of the mental illness that a lot of fat people have, and I still see myself as a fat person. You know, I'm not disparaging their battle, but it amazes me how people are prepared to overlook it.
Do you think something like this, I mean, would you have been motivated to do something like this if you felt that you could get the help and support, you know, online or even, you know, in store at one of the Superdrug stores, that people would check your blood pressure and your weight and give you ideas and tips about how I guess, you know, you can be a healthier you?
I think anything like this can help, but it has to come from the person. I mean, I've got people who are big around me who can't even see it. I think they look in the mirror and think I'm delicious. I've always been the other way, you see. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose that's because the population has grown larger and larger, and then you don't stand out as much as you might have 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
If you're huffing and puffing just getting up the stairs or coming down the stairs, how much fun can you be having in the bedroom and things like that? It affects your entire life.
Yeah, it affects you. I mean, it affects you physically and it affects you psychologically, that's for sure. But and long term, I mean, ultimately, it means that you're going to live a shorter life, and you might live a far less healthier life with disability, not being able to do things because of a function of your weight or your blood pressure. So it is important. We all need to look at what we're doing and look at our lifestyle and see how we can improve it, because everyone has room for improvement, I think.
Over the next 4 months, Team Me will be travelling around the UK, visiting Superdrug stores in Canterbury, Cardiff, Edinburgh and Manchester, all over the country, to encourage as many people as possible to take part in this national health check. Shoppers up and down the country will be able to speak to Superdrug experts and hopefully raise awareness of their own health and get better and lose weight with Team Me. Hashtag Team Me. If you're on Twitter, to find out more, you can go to Team Me at superdrug.com/Team Me. I want to talk about you, Dr Pixie, because what a life you've had. I'm so sorry for some of the things you've seen. It's not fair, is it?
I don't mind. It's a job, isn't it? No, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all. That's why I went into medicine. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me at all.
I guess the Channel 4 show Embarrassing Bodies is deliberately looking for the more outrageous of illnesses. Are there moments when you sat on that show and thought, even this is shocking to me?
Most of the things, some of the things were a little bit way out, but most of the things are part and parcel of what you see in your surgery, We see a whole host of different things day in, day out, which to the public, if they were eavesdropping on our clinic, would be, their eyes would be popping out of their head, they'd be gasping, they'd have to leave the room to be sick, the smells would be overpowering. But that's our job, that's what we do, and we're not particularly bothered. And if you are bothered by it, you're in the wrong profession.
I know it's become a comedian's joke now, but is it surprising to you that people who have sat at home for 25 years on this thing in between their legs suddenly will turn up on Channel 4 with 8 million viewers and show the world?
What you see on the television is just a snapshot of that person's journey. So by the time it's on the telly box and you're sitting down to watch it while you're having your dinner, actually the person involved has had their problem resolved, and that's the icing on the cake for them. They've probably done 6 to 9 months, and it's all been filmed, and they sit down with their families and they look at it and they go, wow, that was me then, and look at me now, and I've transformed into a swan, or I can run, or I can do X, Y, Z because my problem has been improved. So actually, although it seems like a really big deal to us, it's not really a big deal for the patient at the end. And a lot of them get that they're motivated to go on the program because actually their friends and family say, look, is there any chance you could do something? Sort yourself out, why don't you go on that show? And they do, and actually they're very grateful for it in the end.
I don't like bothering my doctor, so I go to Google Doctor, put in my problems and see what it says, and it turns out I have a thing called micropenis. Have you heard of it? It's a shame. All these years I've wondered why I have low confidence and self-esteem, and it turns out that I have a 1% penis. It's tiny, very, very small. Is there anything I can do with it to make it grow?
Well, I'm sure there's lots of experts out there that can help you, or you could come on Embarrassing Bodies and we could help you.
It's a shame, isn't it? I think surgery. I'd like a face transplant. I'd like the fat taken out my ass and putting in the front end, and a boob reduction. And the bingo wings, if you could chop them off. Can you get me an appointment?
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, it's a disaster. We look at you in your career. Of course, you are a proper doctor. You are properly trained and you work incredibly hard. And I just want to talk about the NHS a minute, because this week I haven't been to the doctors in 6 years, joking aside, and I had this chest infection, as you could probably hear. I thought it was. Being an entertainer and a singer, I thought, right, I'm going to have to do something about this. I went down to my local surgery. They have an open surgery between 9 and 10:30. I was seen within about 4 minutes, out within 20 minutes. The NHS is still doing amazing things despite what you read in the Daily Mail, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I think we forget that actually most of the commentary that we will hear will be the negative stuff. You don't hear about the stuff that goes on day in, day out, the babies being born, the cancer being cut out with surgery, the mental health patients being looked after, et cetera, et cetera. There's so much good goes on, but unfortunately you only hear the bad, and you only hear about the bad people within the system and the bad statistics within the system, and that's unfortunate.
It's a shame. I mean, when we look at the stuff that's going on with the striking at the minute, is there any hope for a young doctor? Has the whole thing changed? Is it too late? Or is this just a phase we're going through, which does seem to happen every few years?
I really hope it's a phase that we're going through, because otherwise we're going to lose a lot of talented people to Australia and America. And we're going to see a huge drop in medical school applications. So I really hope it's just a phase, it's just a blip, and it can be resolved, and doctors can get back to doing what they do best, which is look after patients. So hopefully. And
as a layman, is there anything I should be doing to support you guys?
I mean, just think, especially when there's a doctor strike on, just because a lot of the patients end up with general practice. The GP is obviously still open. And just think about, do you really need to see the GP? Can you actually possibly go to your pharmacist? Pharmacists are really well placed to give advice. They can give treatments. They can do a whole host of things. So just think about it. Do I really need to see the doctor? Is very important. And if you are going to the NHS and you've got an appointment, turn up to the appointment. Turn up on time. There's so many people don't turn up to appointments, or they don't turn up for x-rays, or they don't finish their treatments. Just try and be a good patient. If we could all be better patients, the system would be slightly better, I think.
Oh, I'd fine them £1,000. They'd soon turn up. Don't you worry about that. And very finally about you, I mean, I wonder whether you should be in show business or a doctor, because, I mean, you did study speech and drama, so there's that showbiz side of you that we can see on the TV, that you're a great sort of communicator. What would you rather have been? Are you happy to be looking at people's private parts, or do you wish you were in the sort of grand opera?
Oh, no, I can't sing. I can't sing and I can't dance. I love medicine. I wanted to be a doctor since I was tiny. My dad was a GP, so I grew up with sort of patients and things coming to the house and answering the phone and that type of stuff. But I also I'm Irish, and the Eurovision Song Contest was really big in Ireland, because we used to always win it. And I desperately wanted to present the Eurovision Song Contest, so I taught myself French when I was about 7, and I had to practice the numbers and everything, but my mother still reckons I could probably do it. But
me too. Great talking to you. To find out more about Team Me, go to www.superdrug.com/Team Me. Dr Pixie, great to talk to you.
Likewise. Thanks, Alex.